Qin Ming crossed the Douluo continent and arrived at the capital of slaughter at the beginning. He was appointed as the heir to the throne by the Shura god. Qin Ming, who only wants to put on a bad show, doesn't want to inherit the throne, only wants to enjoy life comfortably. Qin Ming said, "What's good about becoming a god? He fights and kills all day long, and if he doesn't do it well, he might just die." Shura God. "Don't worry, you are my only heir, I will protect you carefully." Qin Ming said, "I still don't want to practice. Isn't it fragrant to enjoy life comfortably and comfortably?" Shura God. "As long as you cultivate to level 30, I will immediately send you soul bones." Qin Ming said, "No, soul bones and the like will only be coveted by people." Angered by Qin Ming's lack of oil and salt, the Shura god directly arched and launched the 9 Shura Exams against Qin Ming. Qin Ming said, "Hey, I just wanted to mess things up, but I was forced to become a god." Chapter 1, I just want to put on a good show, but you force me to become a god. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Douluo continent, the core of the capital of slaughter. A young man around 10 years old looked at everything in front of him in confusion and couldn't help but ask, "So this is the capital of slaughter, and you are the Shura god?" In front of the young man stood a throne, and a dignified middle-aged man stood up from the throne and said, "To be precise, my divine thoughts are attached to this body, but that's also true. I am the god of Shura." The voice emitted by the middle-aged man seemed to come from above the 9 heavens, and the great majesty of heaven and earth descended with his words. The young man looked around and looked at the majestic middle-aged man descending from the throne in front of him. He also looked at the young girl in black veil kneeling respectfully beside him, as well as the hall that was filled with blood and a faint smell of smell. At this moment, he became even more confused, trying to digest everything around him. The boy's name is Qin Ming, and Blue Star is a 996 social animal who has been implicated to death. Working overtime to do PPTs was too tiring for him, but he didn't expect a huge change to happen around him when he opened his eyes. Have I traveled? Coming to the Douluo continent. No, to be precise, this is the killing capital of Douluo continent. And you are the Shura god possessed by the king of slaughter. Qin Ming looks at the king of killing in front of him, who is the same as the animation, and reluctantly accepts the fact that he has passed through with everything around him. Qin Ming's soft whispers were all received in the ears of the Shura god, making him more certain that it would be wise to work hard to bring this young man from another plane. In order to demonstrate his strength, the Shura god, whose divine thoughts were attached to the king of slaughter, spoke up and said, "That's right, I am the god king who holds the power to enforce death, destruction, order, life, destruction, and the divine realm." The Shura god walked down the stairs and looked down at Qin Ming, who was 1 head shorter than him. Looking into his eyes, he asked, "Young man, are you willing to become my heir, inherit my abilities, and complete my 9 Shura Exams to ascend to the divine realm and become a true god?" Qin Ming faced the possessed king of killing with confusion and said, "Becoming your heir? Didn't you already choose Tang as your heir?" Shura god shook his head regretfully and said, "Tang has failed. His will has been influenced by the Rakshasa and his mind has been lost. He is no longer suitable as my heir." After answering, the Shura god looked directly into Qin Ming's eyes and spoke again, "Young man, I ask you again, are you willing to continue to be my heir and become the true god? Becoming a god, residing in the divine realm for eternity, possessing endless life and boundless power." In the eyes of Shura god, no one can resist this temptation. But this time, he miscalculated. Qin Ming shook his head very decisively without any hesitation, saying, "I don't want to." "What?" The tone of Shura's voice was full of surprise, and he said in a skeptical voice, "Why?" Qin Ming said nonchalantly, "What's good about becoming a god? To inherit your abilities, you must fight and kill, which is too dangerous." As a victim of 996 in his previous life, Qin Ming had long been tired of meaningless internal competition. He has finally traveled through this life, and the only thing he wants to do is to lay it down properly, how to elegantly lie flat, and enjoy a wonderful life to make up for the shortcomings of the previous life. Fight and kill, don't get involved. Qin Ming's straightforward words left the Shura god speechless for a moment, and he continued to speak, "Don't worry, if you become my only designated heir, I will definitely protect you thoroughly." Qin Ming is someone who has watched 263 episodes of anime. To become a god, he must go through 9 tests, each of which is extremely difficult and there is only one chance for assessment. If he fails one of the tests, the consequence is death and death. Even if the assessment of Shura God's release of water is simpler, there is still one issue. Practice. Qin Ming said in a loud voice, "It's better not to do it. Practicing or something is exhausting. It's also good to enjoy life as an ordinary person." Qin Ming, who had died from overwork in his previous life, was determined to put on a good show. Work hard to cultivate. Qin Ming said it's absolutely impossible. Being repeatedly rejected has left the Shura god confused. This kid is a bit special, he just wants to be an ordinary person and doesn't want to become a god. Thinking of Qin Ming's innate talent that matched the position of the Shura deity and his hard work in bringing him from another level, the Shura deity continued to deceive Qin Ming into becoming his successor and began to increase his strength. Cultivating is not difficult. As long as you reach level 50, I will give you a soul ring, and even as long as you reach level 30, I will give you a soul bone. How about it, isn't it very appealing? Level 50 Divine Soul Ring. More importantly, send soul bones at level 30. Under such favorable conditions, the Shura god is not afraid of Qin Ming's indifference. Qin Ming once again disappointed the Shura god and shook his head firmly, saying, "No. Soul bones are something that people only covet, and I don't want to be chased and robbed of them all day long." Shura god. Qin Ming's lack of oil and salt made the Shura god extremely frustrated. The heir he finally obtained was unwilling to inherit his throne. The Shura god said in frustration, "You are the most suitable person for my throne among many planes. It would be a pity if you don't inherit my throne." Wait. Qin Ming grabbed the words of the Shura god and said in a loud voice, "Listen to what you mean, did you bring me here?" The Shura god thought that Qin Ming's attitude had changed, and he nodded voluntarily, saying, "That's right. Since Tang Chen's mind was lost and he could no longer inherit my throne, I have been constantly searching for suitable people in all aspects to inherit my throne. After searching for a long time, I finally found you. Your talent perfectly matches the position of the Shura deity, so the heir of the Shura deity is none other than you." The Shura god thought that Qin Ming would agree to inherit the throne because of his deep love, but Qin Ming roast, "I wipe, you brought me here, did you ask me? Douluo continent is a world of fighting, killing, and strength as its premise. How can one behave poorly and enjoy life in this world?" Qin Ming was full of resentment towards the Shura god bringing him here. Inheriting the throne of the Shura deity. Don't even think about it. Just swing it open. Even a passerby could clearly feel Qin Ming's resentment and resistance. The Shura god was speechless again, and the heir he had tried his best to find resisted him so much. At the beginning of the conversation, it was okay and we were quite harmonious, but as the conversation deepened, the Shura god found that Qin Ming was becoming increasingly unwilling to accept the throne. "We can't keep talking anymore, it feels like we'll get more and more frustrated." Immediately, the Shura god decided to force the overlord to bow. He saw his hands swaying slightly, triggering a surge of heaven and earth power, and then injecting divine energy into Qin Ming's body ahead. At the same time, the voice of the Shura god echoed inexplicably in Qin Ming's mind. The Shura divine exam has started, the first exam, and within 2 years, the level has been raised to level 30. Qin Ming knows exactly what the opening of the Shura divine examination means. After repeatedly refusing, the Shura god disregarded his own feelings and opened the Shura 9 exam for himself. Once the Shura Divine Exam is opened, it cannot be stopped, and if one cannot pass the Shura Ninefold Exam, then waiting for them is death. As soon as Qin Ming thought of starting the Shura 9 exam and couldn't afford to mess it up, he couldn't help but curse. "You're so special. I said, don't do it, but I just want to be an ordinary person. You insist on giving me some kind of ghost cultivation test. I may be, you're a CD, I'm banana, you're a Barbara. The new book is like a decimal, I hope everyone can vote more and take care of it to grow up quickly." Chapter 2. Martial Soul Blood-Killing Sword, Immune to Poison and Mental Attack. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Qin Ming had a deep resentment towards the Shura god, and without his consent, he brought him to the dangerous position of Douluo continent. Qin Ming longed for a world that was orderly, full of love and peace, and without worrying about his own life's safety. The more Qin Ming cursed, the deeper his resentment grew, and the more he cursed, the more severe it became. The corners of the Shura god's mouth twitched. Anyway, even if Qin Ming didn't want to take the divine examination now, it was already done. Since the goal had been achieved, the Shura god immediately decided to go offline. As the Shura god went offline, the lost king of slaughter Tang went online. The king of slaughter, who had just regained his mind, saw a young boy cursing at him. How could the king of slaughter bear it? He immediately wanted to take action and raise the rebellious child in front of him. Just as he raised his hand, he received instructions from the Shura god in his mind and obediently put it down. Looking at the handsome young man in front of him in shock, he was actually the designated heir of the Shura god, the spokesperson of the Shura god in the human world, and the young master of this capital of slaughter. After a while, Qin Ming began to calm down. Looking at the slain king with flattery on his face and a tall and slightly curved body, Qin Ming probably guessed that the Shura god had slipped away, which was far from the momentum when he was possessed by the Shura god just now. In the previous life, I was fiercely internalized. In this life, I was originally thinking of putting on a show and enjoying life, but I didn't expect to be forced to practice. This is fate. The 9 exams of Shura have already begun, and Qin Ming can only be realistic. His gaze paused for a moment on the slightly flattering king of slaughter, who immediately approached and whispered, "Young lord, may I ask if you have any instructions?" Perhaps due to the fact that the Shura god had just possessed him, Qin Ming didn't have a good impression of the king of slaughter and spoke coldly, "So what? Help me activate the awakening of my martial soul." The old man from the Shura god said that my talent matches his divine position, but he wants to see what my martial soul is. Yes. The king of slaughter couldn't help but twitch at the corner of his mouth when he heard Qin Ming calling the Shura god. No one in the entire Douluo continent dares to call the Shura god an old boy, right? The designated heir of the Shura god is known as arrogance. Although his thoughts were wild in his heart, the king of killing kept moving and respectfully placed a light ball in front of Qin Ming, saying, "Young lord, please place your hand on the light ball, and your martial soul will awaken." Qin Ming placed his hand on the ball of light, and the ball of light suddenly shone brightly. Divine level martial soul, innate level 20 full soul power. The black veil girl kneeling beside her saw the light of the ball of light and couldn't help but cover her mouth and exclaim in surprise. The king of slaughter greeted her with a reproachful gaze, warning her not to disturb the awakening of the young master's martial soul. Qin Ming withdrew his hand from the light ball and gently swung a blood-colored long sword with his right hand, which he held in his hand. As the blood-colored long sword swung out, a scent of destruction, slaughter, and eternal heaven and earth overflowed. Qin Ming casually wielded his sword and danced a sword flower, startling the sound of breaking through the air, as if the sharpness of this sword could pierce even space. Then with a gentle swing, there were pleasant sword sounds. Qin Ming danced casually, causing the king of slaughter in front of him to look shocked. This sword gave him an extremely dangerous feeling, even though Qin Ming was only level 20 in front of him, the blood-colored long sword in his hand could harm him. If you carefully examine the long sword in Qin Ming's hand, you will find that this sword is 8% similar to the Shura God's Shura divine sword. The black veil girl kneeling on the ground had a pale face and remained motionless, afraid that a slight movement would accidentally touch the edge of her long sword. Although it was the first time holding the sword, there was a very familiar feeling, a feeling like holding hands and fingers. Qin Ming casually waved the blood-colored long sword in his hand and whispered softly, "It feels quite sharp when waved." Even ordinary people without soul power and insight cannot perceive the mystery of Qin Ming's bloody long sword when they see it, but the sharpness of the sword's edge alone can determine that it is not an ordinary thing. Due to the power of the martial soul, Qin Ming's mood improved and he consciously waved it casually a few times. At this moment, the voice of the Shura god rang out in my mind for no reason. This sword is called the blood-killing sword. Holding this sword disregards poison and any spiritual attacks, and suppresses all evil things. Bloodthirsty sword. The name fits a bit. Qin Ming casually retracted the blood-colored long sword back into his body. The sword was slightly suspended, and his gaze turned to the King of Slaughter, saying in a loud voice, "All right, thank you. Young master, you're welcome." The King of Slaughter quickly nodded respectfully in response. "If you come, be content. Since you have arrived in Douluo continent, take a good look at this world." Qin Ming looked around the blood-red and gloomy hall and said in a loud voice, "I'll take a stroll around, isn't it okay?" The King of Slaughter immediately arched his hand and said, "The entire city of Slaughter is driven by the young master. You can go wherever you want." Then the King of Slaughter pointed to the black veil girl kneeling beside him and ordered, "You, serve the young master left and right." "Yes." The black-veiled girl stood up and saluted respectfully. "Am I driving the entire city of Slaughter?" Qin Ming smiled and said, "So, the capital of Slaughter is my birthplace." With a light smile, she turned around and walked towards the outside of the hall. The black veil girl quickly took small steps forward, followed respectfully by half of her body. "Who?" As Qin Ming left, the King of Slaughter breathed a sigh of relief. Just now, when Qin Ming sacrificed his martial soul, he gave him tremendous pressure, which belonged to the gods and their authority. Leaving the main hall and walking on the streets of the capital of Slaughter, Qin Ming's mood was not beautiful. Because everything here is full of wilderness, without the sun, it always looks foggy. Even though Qin Ming knew what the capital of Slaughter was before this, only by truly coming here can he truly feel it. A 10-year-old child is a wonderful gift for those living in the capital of Slaughter, but when they want to open Qin Ming's gift, a glance from the black veil girl beside Qin Ming makes them flee. There is no disguise for the killing intent of the people here. With the black veil girl by his side, Qin Ming had no need to worry about safety, but everyone here except Qin Ming was in an extremely guarded state. Because there will be killings and ambushes here at any time. Crime happens every minute and every second here, and we often see people fighting, eating raw meat in the corner, and committing violence. It might be more appropriate to call this hell. Qin Ming had his own evaluation of the capital of Slaughter, and he didn't have much fondness for his birthplace. I believe no one would have any aspirations for this place. After just a brief stroll, Qin Ming decided to leave here. Chapter 3, Welfare Bureau. No, it's the Massacre Bureau. This is just one. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What kind of thing? I need 100 consecutive victories to leave here. Qin Ming looked incredulously at the black veil girl beside him. He had just learned from the other party that he, like other people entering the capital of Slaughter, had to complete 100 victories before leaving. Just now, the King of Slaughter said that the capital of Slaughter is driven by himself, and he regards himself as the young master. He not only wants to leave his birthplace, but there are still various rules and regulations. Faced with Qin Ming's questioning, the black veil girl felt Alexander. Afraid of offending the ruthless people who even dared to curse the Shura god, he explained in a low voice, this. This is the rule of the capital of slaughter. Even if it is the God King, it is not easy to intervene too much. Or perhaps, if you think positively, the outside world of the capital of slaughter is also in danger. If you have a higher level and stronger strength, you can face the outside world more calmly. Qin Ming. Qin Ming felt depressed for a moment, but what the other party said was also true. Although Shura God said he would take good care of himself, who knows? If one day he encounters any danger, Shura God will go to the bathroom and not be online, then it will be cool. It seems that we still need to cultivate. Like willow catkins swaying in the wind. Although Qin Ming only wanted to show off and cultivate beyond his desires, it seems that he can only briefly follow the old guy of the Shura God. Noticing Qin Ming's changes, the girl in the black veil cautiously spoke up, with the young master's ability to connect with the heavens, I believe it won't be long before she can cultivate to great success. If the young master doesn't mind, I can be the young master's companion for training. Well, then let's find a place to practice first. Okay, young master, please. Qin Ming too followed the black veil girl without looking back, and after a brief stroll, he witnessed the cruelty within the capital of slaughter. Most people would not be too interested in continuing to stroll. With the guidance of the black veil girl, Qin Ming arrived at a specialized hall for cultivation. The main hall isolates the sounds of gold roaring in the fighting rooms on the periphery, the gruesome laughter after successfully killing, and the pleading for mercy, making it look no different from a regular practice room. The capital of slaughter cannot use soul skills due to special reasons, and completing 100 victorious melee battles is particularly crucial. The martial soul of the young master is the noble blood-killing sword, so I will perform the sword technique for the young master. After obtaining Qin Ming's consent, the black veil girl took out a Qin foam long sword from the side and held it in her hand, demonstrating various basic moves of the sword casually. The oblique upward or downward direction of the sword body is called truncation, in order to reach the sword body. Taking oneself as the center and stabbing the sword in a straight line with a force reaching the tip is called stab. Hold the sword horizontally to the left or right, with a height between the knee joint and ankle called sweep. The explanation given by the black veil girl was very accurate, demonstrating the basic techniques of cutting, stabbing, standing, cloud, hanging, collapsing, wiping, sweeping, chopping, blocking, and blocking swords in every detail. Qin Ming's blood-killing sword learned the sword's combat moves with the black gauze girl and mastered them quickly, but in less than 2 hours, he had already mastered them roughly. I only demonstrated once that the young master could master it, and in 2 hours, I became proficient in 11 sword moves. How could such a talent be favored by the Shura God? The black veil girl was shocked by Qin Ming's quick mastery of the sword's combat moves, and then suggested, if the young master wants to leave the capital of slaughter as soon as possible, why not start 100 battles now? Practical combat can better promote the mastery of swordsmanship. Open 100 battles directly. It's not impossible either. Anyway, there's nothing worth cherishing in the capital of slaughter, why not start early and leave early? After a brief thought, Qin Ming nodded and agreed, then you can arrange it. Yes. The black veil girl's actions were very efficient, and under her arrangement, she quickly led Qin Ming to the hellish killing ground and arranged her opponents. Standing in front of Qin Ming was a frail figure, wearing a cloak and unable to see his face clearly. Surprisingly, I met a little doll in the capital of slaughter. Today's luck is really good. This month's Bloody Mary has fallen. The slender and fallen person shook out his martial soul, a curved sword. Although his face was hard to see, it was easy to detect his cruelty. Humph. Qin Ming's eyes froze, and as he reached forward with his right hand, he immediately transformed into a bleeding sword and held it in his hand. The capital of slaughter cannot use soul skills, but it does not affect the summoning of martial souls. As the blood-killing sword reveals its intention of killing, it begins to spread. What? This. This doll's martial soul. The eyes of the fallen were filled with horror. He thought luck was a welfare situation, but now he knows with just a blood-killing sword that the child in front of him is not an ordinary person. Before the fallen person could react, the shock in his eyes turned into fear. Because at this moment, Qin Ming had already taken action, mercilessly sweeping blood and killing swords. Just now, while learning swordsmanship, Qin Ming's brain seemed to have activated a certain switch and he had easily mastered it. The fallen person's reaction between life and death was quick, and he quickly used his long sword to strike a move. Bang, bang. A burst of golden sounds echoed, and the blood-killing sword, full of Shura's sharpness, swept through the opponent's curved sword. Then, the blood-killing sword gently brushed against the opponent's neck, and crimson blood burst out. One swift strike. Putting away the blood-colored long sword, Qin Ming silently felt the change of the sword just released. When the two weapons collided just now, one could clearly feel the restraint of the blood-killing sword on the other. The seemingly long-handled wide-edged sword was actually as fragile as paper. A fallen person who feeds on blood belongs to the category of evil, which is why they can easily kill the other person. Qin Ming gained an additional understanding of his martial soul. With a gentle swing of his right hand, Qin Ming restrained his blood-killing sword back into his body and slowly walked down the killing ground without looking at the corpses on the ground. For the killing just now, Qin Ming had no emotional fluctuations throughout the entire process. Perhaps it's because this is the capital of slaughter, where killing and death are just ordinary elements, or perhaps Qin Ming, who travels here, lacks realism and subconsciously sees it as a game. The fallen just now is just an ordinary monster in the game, whose function is to gain experience or equipment after killing him. But it's just a game NPC, of course there won't be any emotional fluctuations. Please help me arrange my opponents as soon as possible. Qin Ming left a sentence and then calmly left. Chapter 4. 4. Are 10 fierce sun snakes fierce beasts in the flood and wilderness? Well, it's quite obedient. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, Qin Ming spent 3 months in the capital of slaughter. In these 3 months, Qin Ming's level has increased from level 20 to level 29, just one step away from level 30. Although Qin Ming dislikes cultivation very much, it seems that he has nothing else to do besides cultivation in the Ghost City. On average, he rises to level 1 in 10 days. When his level reaches level 29, Qin Ming no longer cultivates. The content of the first Shura exam is to upgrade the level to level 30 within 2 years. If you cultivate to level 30 now, wouldn't you just start the second exam? What's so urgent? Isn't it better to wait until the 2-year agreement is approaching and then upgrade to level 30? There is a lot of time to waste and let him waste it. Apart from leveling up, Qin Ming has been challenging the 100 victory quest every day for the past 3 months. Under his guidance, the Black Veil Girl arranges a battle for him every day, and has won 90.9 consecutive games. As long as he completes the last game today, he can achieve 100 victories achievement and then leave this haunted place. Young master, it's almost time. Outside the room came a whispered reminder from the Black Veil Girl, and Qin Ming opened the door and walked straight outside. Let's go. Yes. The Black Veil Girl followed step by step. To be honest, Qin Ming's mood today is quite good. After all, he can leave here by completing the 100 victories and crossing the Hell Road. No normal person would like a city of slaughter without sunlight, always shrouded in mist, and even the air wafting with a faint smell of blood. Apart from the harsh environment, corpses and fragments can be seen everywhere, and killings, sneak attacks, conspiracies, ambushes, and other incidents often occur. Even though Qin Ming doesn't have to worry about safety because he has a Black Veil Girl following him, living in such an environment is probably only loved by perverts. Hell's killing ground. As Qin Ming is about to challenge Bai Xing today, there are many fallen people coming to watch the battle. With Qin Ming's appearance, all the eyes of the fallen people are focused on him. Come on. Qin Ming nodded at the black veil girl in the distance. Yes. Under the arrangement of the black veil girl, a muscular and twisted person holding a double sickle stepped onto the stage from the other side. Hoo-hoo. Hoo-hoo. The muscular man holding the double sickle was full of tension on his face. Although he had been in the capital of slaughter for 3 years and achieved a record of 59 consecutive victories, and even gained the reputation of the death sickle, he was definitely a skilled player in the capital of slaughter. However, when he found out that his next opponent was Qin Ming, his face turned pale. In the past 3 months, Qin Ming has passed the levels and killed generals all the way, using a blood-killing sword that can trigger the pressure of heaven and earth to restrain all evil forces, walking horizontally in the hellish killing field. At first, the fallen did not take Qin Ming seriously, but as time passed, Qin Ming killed more and more fallen players with extremely high consecutive victories. All the fallen players then understood that the childish child in front of them was a true god of killing. Hurry up. Qin Ming casually transformed into a bleeding sword and waved his hand at the opponent from afar. Hoo-hoo. Hoo-hoo. The muscular man was breathing rapidly, clearly aware that there could only be one between him and Qin Ming. He took a few deep breaths and immediately waved his weapon to launch an attack. 2 sickles danced tightly in his hand, indicating that he had been prepared before. Facing the fierce attack of his opponent, Qin Ming's eyes froze. In the past 3 months, although he has not been able to master soul skills, he has already developed a set of sword fighting techniques after 100 life and death battles. His gaze searched for a flaw in the opponent's waving double sickles, and then he fiercely explored the bleeding sword, using a simple and unadorned sword to pierce the opponent's flaw. The sharp edge of the blood-killing sword swung open the opponent's double sickles and then pointed directly at their face. Hiss. Hiss. The muscular man's neck was cut open by the blade of the sword, and fresh red blood burst out from the wound. Life quickly passed from his body. Like his previous opponents, he killed himself with one move. It's over. Qin Ming gathered his blood and killed his sword. The battle instinct to find flaws in opponents' moves is the key to Qin Ming's easy victory. This feeling is strange, as if rich combat instincts are innate. No wonder the Shura god praises Qin Ming's talent endlessly. Congratulations, young master. As Qin Ming achieved his ultimate victory, the hidden king of slaughter also appeared in the hell's killing ground. Through the black yarn girl, the king of slaughter had long known Qin Ming's intention to leave the capital of slaughter, and without hesitation, he directly activated the magic formation. Fallen beings, become offerings to open the path of hell. As the voice of the king of slaughter fell, endless evil energy overflowed from him, instantly enveloping the entire hellish killing ground. The corrupted individuals infected by evil energy crazily scratched the flesh and blood on their bodies, constantly self-abusing, and the flowing blood converges into a bloody formation in the middle. Perhaps due to psychological preparation and being accustomed to it, Qin Ming did not feel much about the bloody sacrifice at this time. When all the fallen have completed the mission of offering sacrifices, the blood formation is officially activated. The massive red light group built a space of different dimensions, and the black veil girl knelt on the ground, while the king of slaughter respectfully bent down and spoke out, "Farewell to the young master." Qin Ming lightly responded and stepped into a different dimensional space. After a whirl of wind and earth, when Qin Ming opened his eyes again, he found himself in an empty space, with a faint blood-red path lingering in front of him. On both sides of the road were abyss of 10,000 zhang. And this bloodline is the famous path of hell. As long as you pass through this path, you can return to the human world and obtain the realm of killing gods. Qin Ming walked slowly on the path of hell, and just over 100 meters away, his sharp senses noticed a slight anomaly ahead. Qin Ming was not at all nervous about this. As someone familiar with the plot, he knew that there would be 10 blazing sun snakes guarding hell's road ahead. As expected, after a rustling sound, a pair of blood-red eyes appeared on the slightly dim road ahead. Subsequently, a giant snake with a red mane color spat out its snake venom and quickly swept out. The snake's body was about 20 meters long, and although it was named a snake, its appearance looked more like a dragon. The most eye-catching feature is its head and back, with a total of 9 protrusions, each resembling a bright red mushroom, with blood flowing inside. The 10 blazing sun snakes guarding Hell's Road have only one purpose, which is to kill all humans who attempt to pass through here. Quack. Quack. 10 scorching sun snakes made a cry like a baby's cry, opening their bloody mouths to devour the approaching Qin Ming in one fell swoop. For the attack of the 10 blazing sun snakes, Qin Ming slightly swung his bloodthirsty sword with his right hand, accompanied by a faint pressure from heaven and earth. The bloodthirsty sword, which restrained all evil forces, now played a perfect deterrent role. 1 second ago, Snake Shinzi was planning to devour Qin Ming's 10 blazing sun snakes, but the next second he suddenly stopped, his small eyes filled with shock. The person in front of me holding a blood-colored long sword actually has the divine power of the Shura god attached to his body. As fierce beasts in the wilderness, the 10 blazing sun snakes are extremely sensitive. Non-verbal beasts are more sensitive than human senses, and they immediately understand that the child in front of them is not an ordinary person. The reason why there is the aura of the Shura god is because he is the heir of the Shura god. For this fierce beast in the wilderness, Qin Ming extended his left hand and gestured, "Big snake, come here." Quack. Quack. 10 scorching sun snakes let out 2 serval cries and slowly approached Qin Ming with their heads lowered. Qin Ming was quite satisfied with the other party's attitude and said, "Not bad, quite obedient." Chapter 5. Little snake, be good, don't you believe me? Don't you still believe what I have in my hand? You are listening at novelfull.audio. What kind of fierce beast in the wilderness? It's not at all fierce. Qin Ming placed his left hand on the heads of 10 scorching sun snakes and rubbed them gently. It was quite hard. Startled by the Shura deity on the blood-killing sword, 10 blazing sun snakes dared not move, afraid that the blood sword that restrained them would pierce into his body. Looking at the obedient 10 blazing sun snakes in front of him, Qin Ming fell into contemplation. According to the development of the plot, the ending of the 10 blazing sun snakes is not very good. The inner alchemy that has condensed one's lifelong cultivation is also absorbed by people as a soul ring. The 10 blazing sun snakes are not soul beasts, but ancient fierce beasts of the flood and wilderness. Their combat power may not be comparable to that of a 100,000-year-old soul beast, but they should also be comparable to that of a 50,000-year-old soul beast. If we take possession of the 10 blazing sun snakes, we can not only avoid their tragic ending, but also summon them to help fight when facing danger in the future. It's a win-win situation for both us. Thinking of this, Qin Ming planned to subdue the giant snake in front of him, but the question was how to speak up. How can 10 blazing sun snakes obediently listen to their own words? After much contemplation, Qin Ming decided to use sincerity to influence him. Touching the heads of 10 scorching sun snakes, Qin Ming spoke sincerely and earnestly, "Little snake, I see your seal hull turning black. This foreshadows that you will encounter a bloody disaster in the near future." 10 blazing sun snakes. Although the 10 blazing sun snakes do not understand human language, as fierce beasts in the wilderness, they can easily understand the meaning in Qin Ming's words. Is the printing hull turning black? Although his whole body is bright red, where is it black? And what is the Tang? But just now his words were sincere, and it really didn't seem like he was lying. Will there really be a bloody disaster soon? Although the 10 scorching sun snakes cannot be spoken by humans, it is precisely because they cannot speak that their perception of the world relies on their hearts. When Qin Ming spoke just now, the 10 scorching sun snakes clearly felt that Qin Ming had not deceived him. Looking at the 10 blazing sun snakes in front of him, Qin Ming showed a bewildered expression of, "I'm a little student, don't deceive me." He tapped his head again with his hand and patiently explained, "Little snake, how could I possibly deceive you with such sincerity? Besides, what benefits can I gain from deceiving you? Also, if you don't believe me, you also believe in CCTV. Don't believe in the blood-killing sword in my hand, right?" Speaking, Qin Ming shook his blood-killing sword in front of 10 scorching sun snakes. As Qin Ming shook his blood-killing sword, the small eyes of the 10 blazing sun snakes were filled with terror, afraid that Qin Ming might accidentally cut them. "Speak up and don't use knives or guns." "I believe it, can't I believe it yet?" It was obvious that the attitude of the 10 scorching sun snakes had changed. Qin Ming seized the opportunity and said, "Well, I'm not a cold-blooded person either. Since I know your difficulties, there's no reason to stand idly by. How about this? I'll take you to the outside world to avoid your future disasters. You can also take the opportunity to change your environment for cultivation. There may be a suitable place or immortal grass outside that can greatly improve your cultivation speed. Of course, I'm not unconditionally helping you either. You have to come out and help me when I need you. I guarantee your safety and I can make you enjoy spicy food and drink spicy food. What do you say?" After a combination of both soft and hard punches, the 10 blazing sun snakes were clearly very attractive. Qin Ming's proposal was very good. It would be better to follow the successor of the Shura god than to stay here and practice. It is uncertain what unknown opportunities one may have. Quack dot. Quack dot. 10 scorching sun snakes nodded and made a cry like a baby. "Be good." Qin Ming nodded in satisfaction, while also putting away the blood-killing sword in his hand. Then he took a step and sat down on his snake head, saying, "Little snake, let's go, leave the path of hell." Quack dot. Quack dot. 10 scorching sun snakes agreed and swung their tails to move forward quickly. With 10 scorching sun snakes leading the way, the journey to hell was very smooth, and Qin Ming quickly arrived at the exit. For the nearby exit, Qin Ming jumped down from the 10 blazing sun snakes in one step and said in a loud voice, "Before finding a suitable place to place you, let's wrongly leave you inside the soul guide." Quack dot. 10 blazing sun snakes nodded knowingly. Open. Qin Ming used his soul power to activate the jade pendant he was wearing, and included 10 scorching sun snakes that were about 20 meters long. The jade pendant on Qin Ming's body is called the white jade Qilin buckle, which was a gift given by the King of Slaughter to please him. The interior space is very large, enough to accommodate 10 blazing sun snakes and allow him to practice with peace of mind inside. After arranging 10 scorching sun snakes, Qin Ming did not hesitate to directly enter and exit. After a whirl, the faint blood color lingered and disappeared, replaced by lush green forests. The strong smell of blood in the air also disappeared, and the fragrance of grass and trees bloomed at the tip of the nose. Leaving the path of hell feels like the whole person has relaxed. At the same time, Qin Ming, who had walked out of hell, had an inexplicable insight in his heart. Leaving the path of hell and automatically comprehending the realm of killing gods. Qin Ming's mouth curved with a hint of smile, and his mind moved. With the traction of his soul power, he brought out the realm of killing gods that he had just comprehended. Almost in an instant, an inexplicable killing intent rose from 100 meters radius. Qin Ming, who presides over the field of killing gods, clearly feels the changes happening around him. The overall strength, speed, defense, soul power, physical fitness, and reaction ability have all increased by nearly twice. In addition, enemies entering the realm of killing gods will also have their abilities reduced by half as a result. As my level increases, the effectiveness and coverage of the god-killing domain will continue to increase, which can be said to be a powerful increase without blind spots. The only problem is that my current strength is limited, and it's not easy to maintain it for a long time, but this should also change as I level up. After experiencing the changes in the realm of killing gods, Qin Ming withdrew his soul power, and the strong killing intent disappeared. Everything returned to calm. After wiping the sweat off his forehead a little, Qin Ming's smile at the corner of his mouth became even stronger. Although the current level is not high and there is no soul ring, with 10 powerful assassins like the blazing sun snake and an increase in the god-killing realm, there should also be some self-protection ability. As long as you don't try to provoke powerful opponents, there is basically no danger. But where are we going next? Qin Ming, who had left the capital of slaughter, had no idea where to go for the time being because he was familiar with the plot and knew that the Douluo continent was about to enter a period of turmoil. If you want to live well in the luxurious things of the future, you cannot face the turbulence of the entire continent alone. If you want to be safe, the best way is to join a strong camp. Join the sect. No. The final outcome of the Seven Treasures Glass sect and the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex clan of the Upper Three sect was extremely tragic. Join the Martial Soul Hall. No. The final result of the Martial Soul Hall was that Bibi Dong died and the 1,000 Renshua divine thrones were shattered. Just as he was thinking about where he would go in the future, fate seemed to have helped Qin Ming make a good choice. Standing in the distance of the dense forest stood a broad city. From afar, Qin Ming vaguely saw a plaque on the city wall, with the 3 big characters Soto City written on it. Chapter 6. Li Yusong. Just checking the martial soul, I almost got it. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If you stay in Shrek, even if the mainland is turbulent, there shouldn't be anything wrong. After all, Tang San is the destined son of this plane. As for cultivation, fighting, and killing, I'll leave it to Tang San and the others, and I'll be responsible for enjoying life. The first step is to enroll in Shrek College. Qin Ming, who had made up his mind, walked toward Soto City with relaxed steps. May I ask where Shrek College is? It's in a village on the outskirts of the city. Today is their enrollment day. Okay, thank you. Along the way, Qin Ming found Shrek College on the outskirts of Soto City. There was a long queue at the entrance, with parents and their children around 12 years old waiting in line to register. From afar, Qin Ming saw a plain-looking child wearing a blue shirt. Beside him was a delicate-looking girl with what seemed to be rabbit earrings on her head. The girl was lively and lovely, and her big eyes curiously watched everything around her. Tang San, Xiao Wu. Through the faces of the 2 children, Qin Ming recognized their identities at a glance, and then his emotions became excited. Sigh, I saw them real people. Qin Ming now has a absurd yet real feeling, as characters who used to only appear in anime now stand in front of him, feeling really different. Qin Ming, who is familiar with the plot of anime, has a feeling of revisiting anime, especially with the appearance of Tang San and Xiao Wu, which gives him an immersive feeling of watching movies. Looking forward, I saw Dai Mubai resting on the tree and Li Yusong in charge of the entrance examination. Just like in the anime plot, some people have come out to question Shrek's standards for accepting students. Since the child's qualifications do not match, then the registration fee should be refunded. If you want a refund, go through my level first. Dai Mubai's martial soul, evil eyes, and White Tiger's power immediately frightened away the parents and children queuing around him. Li Yusong stood up and announced to the crowd in the queue, since you have come to sign up at our Shrek Academy, it would be better to be clear. Our Shrek Academy does not accept ordinary people, only monsters. If your soul power doesn't reach level 21 before the age of 13, there's no need to waste time. Qin Ming, who was queuing at the end, heard it and his mouth twitched. To be honest, Shrek's idea that only monsters should be recruited instead of ordinary people is worth roast. Is it monsters that should be recruited? No. The literal meaning is that Shrek Academy only accepts monsters, but the true meaning is that it does not accept ordinary people. Before the age of 13, having a soul power of level 21 is not much compared to a group of talented protagonists. But compared to ordinary people, it already belongs to a superior posture. It is already very good for ordinary people to cultivate to level 20 at the age of 15. Additionally, students from Shrek can also indirectly reflect on the problem. Tang San and Xiao Wu have innate soul power, while Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing come from the Star Do royal family. Although their qualifications are not innate soul power, they are definitely not weak. In addition, there is Oscar, who, although lacking combat power, is a top-notch food-based martial soul. Ning Rongrong, the daughter of the head of the Seven Treasures Glass sect, although the martial soul of the Seven Treasures Glass Pagoda is flawed, her talent is definitely far beyond that of ordinary people. There is also Ma Hongjun, although he is a mutated martial soul, he is a top-notch beast martial soul evil fire phoenix. These people all become gods behind them, so which of these people is not a genius among geniuses? However, Qin Ming doesn't care about these things. He just wants to put on a show and enjoy life well. Now that he's under 11 years old and has a soul power level of 29, meeting Shrek's admission criteria is enough. He has no intention of changing the world. Just as Qin Ming was pondering, the queue of people in front of him noticeably decreased. Almost half of the parents left with their children, and they didn't want to waste registration fees due to insufficient qualifications. Tang San and Xiao Wu both paid for the martial soul test and passed the entrance examination. At this time, Ning Rongrong from the Seven Treasures Glass sect also came to the front of the team to pay and extend his hand to test. Li Yusong was slightly surprised by Ning Rongrong's appearance. "Did your family know that you came here?" It said that there is no class without education. As long as I meet the requirements of your institution, you have no reason not to accept me, right? After hearing the simple news and answering, Li Yusong nodded and said that Ning Rongrong had passed, and then it was Qin Ming's turn to test. Using soul power, he opened the white jade Qilin buckle and took out 10 golden soul coins to hand to Li Yusong. Later, Qin Ming took the initiative to reach out his hand. The golden soul coin is a currency in Douluo continent, but at most it is just a decoration in the capital of slaughter. The currency circulating in the capital of slaughter is actually Bloody Mary. Before returning to the mainland, Qin Ming had the Black Veil Girl collect some golden soul coins from the fallen ones, about 20,000, which could be used by Qin Ming for a long time. Li Yusong placed his hand on Qin Ming's palm and slowly activated his soul power to sense. At the moment of sensing Qin Ming's martial soul, the terrifying killing intent hidden in the blood-killing sword instantly swept through Li Yusong's soul, and the majestic Shura deity, accompanied by the pressure of heaven and earth, bloomed as a result. Even a strand of divine power from the Shura god is not something that a level 63 soul emperor can bear. Li Yusong was covered in cold sweat, almost instantly wetting his entire back. All his muscles tightened as if facing life and death, and even his breathing stopped because of it. Feeling Li Yusong's abnormality, Dai Mubai gently touched him and reminded him, "Teacher Li, what's wrong with you?" Dai Mubai's action brought back Li Yusong's consciousness. Hoo. Li Yusong's face was full of shock, and he sucked heavily in his breath. If it weren't for Dai Mubai's actions just now, his spirit might have been crushed by the divine power of the Shura god. Just checking the martial soul, almost farting. You. What is your martial soul? How could there be such a strong sense of suppression? Li Yusong looked at the harmless child in front of him with a face full of shock. Why was his martial soul so terrifying and oppressive, as if a divine king in the divine realm had descended to earth? In addition, there was a terrifying killing intent, as if facing a sea of corpses and blood. Is this really just a child's breath? Qin Ming clearly didn't know Li Yusong's feelings just now. He spread out his hand and answered, "My martial soul is a weapon martial soul. Maybe it's more murderous like this. Even the spirit of weapons and martial arts cannot have such a strong." Li Yusong thought of a possibility and exclaimed in shock, "Wait, where are you from? Looking at Li Yusong with a shocked expression on his face, Qin Ming muttered to himself, he probably knows that I come from the capital of slaughter, and he doesn't want to take me away because of this. If you can't enter Shrek, then where should you lie down? Faced with Li Yusong's question, Qin Ming had no choice but to move on from Ning Rongrong's previous approach. They all say that there is education without discrimination. I am not over the age limit and my soul power level is sufficient, which fully meets the requirements of your institution. You have no reason not to accept me, right? As for where I come from, is it that important? The conversation between Li Yusong and Qin Ming successfully caught the attention of others. Tang San, Xiao Wu, Dai Mubai, and Ning Rongrong all looked curiously at Li Yusong, who was extremely nervous. I don't understand what's scary about Qin Ming, who is good-looking, fair-skinned, tall, and appears to be 1 or 2 years younger than them. Chapter 7 Tang San. I work hard every day and never slack off, but... You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Dai Mubai looked suspiciously at Li Yusong, who was extremely nervous, and then at Qin Ming, who had a harmless and sunny smile on his face. He asked with questioning, Teacher Li, are you sure you're okay? It's okay. Li Yusong took a few deep breaths to calm the turbulent waves in his heart, and his expression returned to normal as he looked at Qin Ming in front of him. Although he is uncertain, he can probably guess where Qin Ming comes from. Although there were many doubts in my heart, such as why Qin Ming, a child, could come out of there and why Qin Ming's martial soul was so powerful, I realized that he was only responsible for receiving and conducting the initial test by Shrek. Since the other party met the requirements, they naturally wanted to accept it. After pondering, Li Yusong nodded and said, as you said, background is not important, what matters is whether you have enough monsters. Obviously, you are satisfied and even very compatible with our Shrek Academy. You have passed the initial exam. Mu Bai, take them inside. Yes, teacher. Although Dai Mubai had doubts in his heart that had not yet been resolved, it was clearly not the time to chat. He friendly waved to Qin Ming to join him in entering the academy. Hello, my name is Xiao Wu, and his name is Tang San. The lively Xiao Wu took the initiative to introduce herself and Tang San around her. Hello, my name is Ning Rongrong. Hello everyone, my name is Dai Mubai. Hello, my name is Qin Ming. We both gave a brief introduction to each other, and although we were just getting to know each other, everyone's focus was on Qin Ming, curious about the conversation between Qin Ming and Li Yusong just now. Walking inside the college, Dai Mubai probably sensed Zhu Zhuqing's breath and said to everyone line up here first, I will come later. After that, he turned back to the door to pick up Zhu Zhuqing. Come on, big sausage. At this moment, Oscar also pushed his sausages cart onto the stage, and Tang San was attracted by the sausages and walked aside to buy sausages with Oscar. Leave Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, and Qin Ming in line. Qin Ming, although you are quite tall, you should only be around 10 years old, right? Said the lively little dancer with her ears swaying slightly as she approached her curiously. Well, I'm a little over 10 years old. Qin Ming looked at the swaying rabbit ears on Xiao Wu's head and wanted to get a hands-on experience of authenticity. While watching the anime, he had a question. Whether the rabbit ears on Xiao Wu's head were decorations or really ears. Xiao Wu straightened her chest like a little adult and said, then you're younger than me. You have to call me Xiao Wu sister. Xiao Wu Jie. Without hesitation, Qin Ming spoke up directly. By age, everyone here combined was not as good as Xiao Wu's age, after all, she was a human transformed from a 100,000-year-old soul beast. Be good. Qin Ming's wit made Xiao Wu feel great. He patted her underdeveloped chest and said boldly, in the future, Xiao Wu will cover you up and be bullied. Tell Xiao Wu. Okay. Qin Ming casually agreed, how to say this feeling. Interacting with the characters in the anime really has an immersive movie feeling, or to put it another way, this feeling has a super realistic script killing flavor. Perhaps feeling familiar with Qin Ming, Xiao Wu curiously said, "By the way, Qin Ming, your conversation with Teacher Li just now was so mysterious. Where are you from that surprised Teacher Li so much?" When she mentioned this, Ning Rongrong also looked curious and leaned closer to the two of them. Obviously, she was also curious about where Qin Ming's hometown was. It doesn't matter where you come from, right? I feel like Xiaowu, your hometown should also be special. Qin Ming said vaguely, Ning Rongrong, your background should not be ordinary either. Am I right? One comes from the first auxiliary sect in the mainland, and the other comes from the Star Forest, which is naturally not ordinary. Xiao Wu, who didn't get the answer, pouted. At this moment, Dai Mubai returned with Zhu Zhuqing. Tang San also talked to Dai Mubai about the origin of Oscar's sausages, interrupting their conversation. Everyone doesn't need to continue queuing up for the second and third rounds of assessment, just go to the final assessment. Is this not good? Dai Mubai casually waved his hand and said, "Don't worry, this is not favoritism. This is the treatment you deserve." Led by Dai Mubai, several people walked through the queue towards the interior of Shrek. As soon as I took a few steps, I was questioned by the person queuing up. Why can they skip the exam and directly enter the fourth level of assessment, but we have to queue up? That's right, why? Is it a privilege? Dai Mubai turned around with a calm expression and said, if your soul power also exceeds level 25, you can go directly to the fourth level for assessment without queuing. As soon as these words were spoken, it was like a giant stone thrown into a calm lake, instantly causing the people queuing around to become noisy. What? Are you saying their soul power is above level 25? Absolutely impossible. There's someone who looks just 10 years old, how could they have such high soul power? That's right, it must be fake. Humph. Dai Mubai snorted coldly, I can't do it myself, so it's only natural to think that others can't do it either. This is foolish, and it's even more like sitting in a well and observing the sky. When I enrolled, my soul power was at level 25. Speaking, Dai Mubai threw a light ball specifically designed to test soul power to Tang San and said, show them your soul power. Tang San injected soul power into the light sphere, and suddenly emitted a dazzling light that shook those around him who questioned. Qin Ming looked at the scene in front of him, and the plot was exactly the same as what he remembered. His mouth slightly rose. This immersive movie is really good. The light ball quickly passed to Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, Zhu Zhuqing, and others, and finally passed to Qin Ming's hands, bringing Qin Ming back to reality, who had originally been immersed in watching movies from afar. Everyone's gaze was focused on him, and Qin Ming, like others, injected soul power into the sphere of light. The dazzling light caused people around to exclaim in surprise, another level 29. Originally, Tang San and Xiao Wu had reached level 29, which was already impressive enough. However, now there is another Qin Ming who is younger than both of them but also at level 29, which completely silences those who question him. Wow, Qin Ming, you're only 10 years old, and your level is just like mine. You're really amazing. Xiao Wu exclaimed in surprise. Ning Rongrong, Zhu Zhuqing, and Tang San all focused their attention on Qin Ming, surprised by his young age but high level. Tang San's eyes were deep and his heart was filled with emotion. He looks only 10 years old, even younger than me, but his soul power is the same as mine. I asked myself, since awakening my martial soul, I have been diligently practicing every day. I have never been lazy, but to this day, I am only at level 29. Douluo continent, where the strong emerge one after another. Tang San was shocked and sighed in his heart, thinking that Qin Ming had great talent, but in fact, he did not know the true situation of Qin Ming. Qin Ming rose from level 20 to level 29, but it took less than 3 months, averaging 1 level in 9 days. If Tang San knew Qin Ming's true cultivation speed, he would probably be even more shocked. Chapter 8 Little Dance. What? You're at level 29, not even a soul ring. You are listening at novel full.audio. Repeatedly testing the level of everyone, the queue was silenced. Dai Mubai also led everyone further into the interior of the college, with a short but muscular man facing away from everyone. Dai Mubai greeted the short and strong man from afar. Teacher Zhao, I have brought someone to conduct the 4th level assessment. There are a total of 5, and they have all been exempted from the 2nd and 3rd level tests. The Zhao teacher in Dai Mubai's mouth was none other than Zhao Wuji, known as the immovable Ming King. Zhao Wuji turned around and looked at everyone one by one, saying with a smile, today was really nice. 5 little monsters came at once. And all 5 of them are above level 25, pretty good, pretty good. My name is Zhao Wuji. Since all 5 of you have passed the 2nd and 3rd levels without testing, I will personally accompany you to play. As soon as these words were spoken, Dai Mubai's face changed slightly and he said, Teacher Zhao, isn't it appropriate? Zhao Wuji waved his hand forcefully and interrupted, what's wrong? Friend is not my biggest friend. As long as you endure a stick of incense under my attack, you will pass the level, otherwise you will be eliminated. The dominant Zhao Wuji refused to give Dai Mubai a chance to speak. Mubai, tell them about my characteristics. After arranging, he sat on the stool and closed his eyes to rest. Hey! Dai Mubai sighed helplessly. Actually, according to the rules, I should be the one to test everyone, but I didn't expect Teacher Zhao to have to personally assess for some reason. Time is running out, let me briefly tell you about Teacher Zhao's situation. Teacher Zhao is a level 76, War Soul Saint and a powerful beast martial soul diamond bear. His strength is second only to the dean in the college. Known for its strong attack and heavy defense, the only advantage of combining attack and defense is its slow speed. However, the level difference between you and Teacher Zhao is too great, and this weakness is almost non-existent. It's impossible to resist Teacher Zhao alone. Only by working together can we have the opportunity to complete the assessment. Taking advantage of this time, let's discuss the tactics first. As Dai Mubai's words fell, Tang San and others all felt varying degrees of tension, indicating that they attached great importance to the upcoming assessment. Among the 5 people waiting for assessment, only Qin Ming looked relaxed, because it was exactly the same as the animation he had seen. A few people were defeated by Zhao Wuji, and Xiaowu was also injured by Zhao Wuji. Because Xiaowu was injured, Tang San erupted. In the end, he will use his newly crafted hidden weapon to sneak attack, and the assessment will also end smoothly. There's no need to worry about assessments or anything else, I'll just silently watch on the side. At this point, Tang San began to take the lead in introducing himself. I am a control-type soul master, and my martial soul blue-silver grass can help everyone restrain Teacher Zhao. Xiaowu then spoke up and said, I am a soul master of the agile attack style, skilled in soft skills, and close combat is my best way of attacking. Zhu Zhuqing, who has a cold personality, doesn't say much. Zhu Zhuqing is a sensitive attack type and a martial soul ghost spirit cat. Ning Rongrong also spoke up, although I don't have attack ability, I am an auxiliary soul master who can increase everyone's strength and speed. The 4 people waiting for the assessment each introduced their martial souls, and they focused their attention on Qin Ming at the end. Qin Ming, who has a clear understanding of the plot, has no intention of playing at all. Anyway, if he can pass the final assessment, what does it matter if he doesn't make it? Besides, fighting and killing are not things that Qin Ming likes. Why do you have to do it yourself to be able to lie down? My martial soul is a blood-killing sword. I should be considered a soul master of weapon martial soul. Qin Mingzhuang said, however. I haven't absorbed soul rings or soul skills yet, so I won't be able to use them, right? A perfect excuse, without even soul skills, it's impossible for oneself to go up and fight, so rest assured to be an audience member. Qin Ming's excuse of not wanting to take the stage has caused considerable surprise among everyone. What? You don't have a soul ring yet? Everyone looked incredulous. Xiao Wu's surprised expression was obviously heavier than Tang San and the others, and she asked in confusion, "But you're already at level 29, why don't you even have a soul ring?" As is well known, one can obtain the first soul ring after reaching level 10, but Qin Ming is actually level 29 and doesn't even have a soul ring. The extremely special circumstances, coupled with Qin Ming's undisclosed background, made Xiao Wu think that Qin Ming, like her, was also a human transformed from a soul beast that had been around for 100,000 years. But on second thought, it's not right. Humans who have transformed from soul beasts can actively obtain soul rings and soul skills before level 70. Wait, are you saying you didn't even have a soul ring, so you raised your level to level 29? Dai Mubai tightened his eyebrows in disbelief and said, "As we all know, absorbing soul rings can increase soul power. When I was at level 20, I absorbed a 500-year-old soul ring, and after absorbing it, my level was directly increased by 2 levels. But Qin Ming, you haven't absorbed any soul rings, and you have reached level 29 purely by practicing on your own. Your talent is too exaggerated, isn't it?" Ning Rongrong covered his small mouth in shock and said, "Qin Ming, you're not even 11 years old, even younger than us. But you can raise your level to level 29 without even absorbing a soul ring. You're amazing." Zhu Zhuqing, who has always been quiet, did not speak up, but the shock in his eyes was no less than that of the others. Tang San also remained silent, but when he looked at Qin Ming again, his eyes became more solemn. Qin Ming didn't expect his excuse to make everyone react so strongly. In order to make everyone no longer focus on him, he vaguely said, "My situation is quite special, and I won't be able to explain it to you clearly for a while. Let's talk more about it later. The most important thing now is to complete Teacher Zhao's assessment." Qin Ming's words successfully diverted everyone's attention, and Tang San, as the leader, began to release the task. "I will stand in the middle later, responsible for controlling Teacher Zhao. Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhuqing are on the left and right sides respectively. After I control Teacher Zhao, you will launch an attack. Ning Rongrong, you are behind me, and you are responsible for giving everyone blessings. As for Qin Ming, you. Although you don't have soul skills yet, the assessment is together. You can just sit next to Ning Rongrong." Qin Ming nodded happily and made an okay gesture. "No problem, I'll be responsible for cheering you on." "All right." Tang San, who had arranged his tactics, looked at him intently and said, "Everyone, prepare for battle." "Okay. Okay. Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, and Zhu Zhuqing all entered a state of combat. Although Qin Ming did not play, his expression also became excited. If the anime ends here, there will definitely be people scrolling bullet comments and singing war songs. Although he didn't end up in battle, the factor in Qin Ming's heart that, watching the excitement doesn't mind the big picture, was burning fiercely. The more intense the battle will be later, the better. This way, he will also enjoy watching more, and even excited, he still has BGM in his heart. Look up, chaos and war never cease. Looking back, you're around me. Defeat, the curse of fate, make the story immortal. Chapter 9 Qin Ming. Why is the plot of this movie a bit off topic? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qin Ming was excited because he saw everything in front of him as an immersive movie. Tang San, Xiao Wu, and others are performing a fighting scene in front of you, how could they not be excited? With the confirmation of tactics, Tang San and his team also set up their formation, and Zhao Wuji was also prepared to look like the battle was starting. The first to take action was Ning Rongrong, who shook his hand and transformed into a light-hearted pagoda. He held it in his hand and chanted a soul curse in his mouth. The 7 treasures have turned out to have glass, which is called strength and speed. With Ning Rongrong's move, the seven treasures glass pagoda transformed into white starlight dots, merging into everyone's body. Although Qin Ming had just stated that he would not participate in the battle, Ning Rongrong still thoughtfully added his form. Although Ning Rongrong has a bit of a lady's temper, she is a nice person. Qin Ming clearly felt the cells in his body cheering, not only in strength and speed, but also in physical fitness, with actual combat effectiveness increasing by at least 30%. The current Ning Rongrong's auxiliary ability is so excellent, and as the level increases, the auxiliary ability will also correspondingly improve, and the later improvement will become more and more obvious. This group indeed has a strong growth ability, but it is precisely because of this powerful growth ability that the Seven Treasures Glass Pagoda Martial Soul has two fatal flaws. No attack ability and two fewer soul skills than other soul masters. Qin Ming's auxiliary evaluation of Ning Rongrong is not low, but that's all. Because the growth brought by his God-killing field is much stronger than that of Ning Rongrong. The God-killing field can not only increase oneself, but also weaken the opponent's ability. This effect is obviously much greater than Ning Rongrong's unilateral improvement. Upon receiving Ning Rongrong's increase, Tang San was surprised and said, "The cells in his body seem to have been ignited. The Seven Treasures Glass Sect is truly the first auxiliary martial soul in the mainland. Yes, both strength and speed have been greatly enhanced." Xiao Wu took some time to turn around and praise, "Rongrong, you're really amazing. Not bad, really good." Zhao Wuji grinned foolishly during the battle and said, "There is actually a student of the Seven Treasures Glass Sect this year. Frand is probably too excited to sleep at night." After improving his abilities, Tang San's confidence surged and he took the lead in launching an attack. First soul skill, Entangle. Under the double palm clap, blue vines condensed from the ground and quickly wrapped around Zhao Wuji. "I have control, Teacher Zhao." "Xiao Wu, Zhu Zhuqing, it's your turn. Here we go." Under the command of Tang San, Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhuqing both launched an attack. The two quickly dodged to Zhao Wuji's side, and Xiao Wu used her soft skills while Zhu Zhuqing activated her claws. Bang bang. Shua shua. Their attack forcefully broke through the vines and poured force onto Zhao Wuji, even forcing him back half a meter. "Well done. Good job." Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhuqing exchanged a glance, both seeing surprise in each other's eyes. With their strength, they were able to repel the Soul Saint at level 76, which was truly impressive. "Drink." Zhao Wuji let out a loud roar and directly shattered the vines wrapped around his body. Wang Shengwang said, "The Seven Treasures Glass Sect is indeed strong, I must take it seriously." Powerful Diamond Bear. With a loud roar from Zhao Wuji, a golden bear seemed to be attached to his back, and his majestic aura also bloomed, spreading the sense of solemnity exclusive to Soul Saint throughout the room. The successful strike just now instructed Tang San, who was in charge of command, to attack again. "I will control it, Xiao Wu Zhu Zhuqing, you go." First soul skill, Entangle. Purple vines once again sprouted from the ground and then wrapped around Zhao Wuji's body, using their speed to launch another attack. First soul skill, Waist Bow. The second soul skill, the 100 Claws of the Underworld. Bang bang. Shua shua. The attack of the two women once again successfully hit Zhao Wuji, but this time it did not force Zhao Wuji, who had already activated his martial soul. Okay. With the assistance of the Seven Treasures Glass Sect, the three of you can control two attacks together. It's really a great collaboration. Zhao Wuji, who shook open the vines, loudly affirmed the attack of the three just now, which made Tang Sanji's face smile. No. Unlike everyone else, Qin Ming, who was originally enthusiastic about watching the battle, restrained his smile from the corner of his mouth, so his keen senses vaguely sensed a slight difference. Although Qin Ming did not enjoy hard cultivation or fighting, he could not deny his exceptional combat talent, as he was a ruthless man who achieved 100 victories in the capital of slaughter in just 3 months. Especially when it comes to the seemingly meaningless but actual feeling of killing intent, it is very sensitive. Although Zhao Wuji, who was just beaten up, had no intention of killing a few people, he felt his seriousness. He is really serious, no longer the kind of guidance, but really takes Xiao Wu and others seriously as opponents. The plot seems to have changed a bit. Is it because the assessment has increased from 4 people to 5 people now, so the difficulty has increased? But even if there is a slight change in difficulty, the final result should remain unchanged, right? Although Qin Ming still has no intention of taking action, he has become slightly more serious with the changes in the battle situation. Just as Qin Ming was lost in thought, under the command of Tang San, the 3 of them launched another attack. First soul skill, Entangle. As soon as the purple vines were unleashed, Tang San couldn't wait to charge forward towards Zhao Wuji, launching an attack ahead of Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhuqing's attack. As a control-type soul master, having a heart that outputs is very normal. While charging forward, he also says, Xiao Wu, Zhu Zhuqing, come up together. There should be no problem with this arrangement. But not now. Because Tang San overlooked one thing, Zhao Wuji is now a serious Zhao Wuji, no longer a Zhao Wuji who only gets beaten and doesn't fight back. The gap between level 29 and level 76 can be said to be a huge difference, but Tang San's 2 consecutive successes made him think that his entanglement really limited Zhao Wuji. The first soul skill, don't move the body of the Ming King. Almost instantly, Zhao Wuji had already shaken open the vines on his body, and then swung his fist towards Tang San who was coming towards him. The unexpected situation shocked Tang San immensely. Fortunately, years of cultivation forced him to twist his body and let out a loud shout. Second soul skill, Parasitic. Purple vines immediately sprouted from his body, as if forming armor to bless him. Bang! Zhao Wuji's punch shattered Tang San's blue-silver grass armor, and the powerful impact directly flew Tang San away. At the moment of completing the repelling of Tang San, Zhao Wuji faced the oncoming Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhuqing. Compared to Zhu Zhuqing's sharp claws, Xiao Wu's soft skills cause greater damage to Zhao Wuji. Subconsciously, Zhao Wuji sees Xiao Wu as a more threatening opponent. Second soul skill, Powerful Diamond Palm. Ignoring Zhu Zhuqing's attack, Zhao Wuji transformed into a 2-meter bear claw and headed towards the small dance mark in the air. The sudden change made Xiao Wu, who had nowhere to rely in the air, look pale. Chapter 10 Zhao Wuji. Only a few people can pass through the path of hell. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Puff. Tang San, who was knocked to the ground, couldn't suppress the suffocation in his chest and spat out a mouthful of old blood. Just now at a critical moment, he used his second soul skill to parasitize, generating vines around his body to slow down Zhao Wuji's bear paw attack. Although the vines had a good effect, they still suffered considerable damage. No little dance. Tang San ignored the injuries on his body and quickly looked towards the battlefield. Zhao Wuji had already printed an attack, even more powerful than the palm he had just attacked Tang San. Xiao Wu, who is not protected by vines, can definitely suffer serious injuries once hit by an attack. Tang San wants to take action to rescue, but his current situation is too late. Even though I feel regretful that I shouldn't have harmed the team just now, regretting now is of no use. The broad bear paw was about to imprint, and Xiao Wu's face, which had nowhere to rely in the air, changed dramatically. Fear climbed onto her beautiful little face, and as the party involved, she knew best what she was facing. She could only slightly gather her body and barely protect the vital points, but she also knew that this would not have much effect. Just as everyone thought no one could stop all of this, Qin Ming, who had been silently observing the situation, let out a sigh. Even if he knew that according to the original plot, Xiao Wu would still be injured in the battle, and then Tang San would explode. But the changes that happened were beyond his expectations. According to the current situation, Xiao Wu may not only suffer minor injuries, but also be seriously injured, and may even endanger his life. Oh, my heart has finally softened. Seeing the danger of Xiao Wu, Qin Ming, who had no intention of taking action, still couldn't resist. Unable to make a cute girl indifferent when injured in front of her, the hot blood in her body couldn't make Qin Ming cold-blooded like a snake. Blood comes out, the god of killing awakens. Qin Ming instantly sacrificed his bleeding sword and opened up the realm of killing gods. With the emergence of the blood-killing sword and the opening of the god-killing realm, a sense of solemnity instantly permeated a radius of 100 meters. The covered people seemed to be in a battlefield with thousands of troops and horses running rampant in this moment, and the strong killing intent intimidated everyone's spirit. Indeed, it's still barely possible. Qin Ming, who activated the god-killing domain, quickly sweated on his forehead. When facing Zhao Wuji with a large level difference in the god-killing domain, his soul power consumption increased exponentially, but now he can't afford to pay so much attention. With the blessing of the god-killing domain, Qin Ming's speed increased, while also reducing the number of Zhao Wuji who was enveloped in it. Qin Ming took a heavy step with his sword and stepped in front of Xiao Wu, holding the blood-killing sword in his hand horizontally in front of him. Buzz! Buzz! A crisp sound of swords echoed, and the impact of the bear's paw pushed Qin Ming back more than 10 meters before stopping. Although somewhat embarrassed, fortunately, I managed to handle this move unscathed. Hoo-hoo! Hoo-hoo! Qin Ming, who had consumed too much soul power, closed the realm of killing gods, and the overwhelming sense of killing around him disappeared. Everything returned to calm, with only Qin Ming gasping for breath. Zhao Wuji, who was taken care of in the field of killing gods, was immediately relieved of his upper state. Zhao Wuji, are you a pig? How dare you use all your strength to fight against a few younger generations? I almost injured my child just now. A soul saint at level 76 used all his strength to deal with several children who were below level 30. Isn't it ridiculous to hear this? When practicing normally, don't just focus on cultivating your body and mind. Don't be called a reckless person who adds strength but doesn't add intelligence. Zhao Wuji cursed himself in his heart for a round, but at this moment, what shocked him even more was Qin Ming with a horizontal sword in front of him. Being able to create boundless destruction, his level 76, Soul Saint was just affected by that boundless destruction, causing a significant decrease in attack and speed. How did he do it as a 10-year-old child? Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu, are you okay? Tang San stood up in embarrassment and asked. I'm fine. Xiao Wu responded and quickly stood up to help Qin Ming, who was sweating profusely. Qin Ming, are you okay? It's okay, it's just a bit powerless. Qin Ming smiled calmly and stood up, holding the blood-colored long sword in his hand. Dai Mubai, who helped Zhu Zhuqing up, said with a shocked expression on his face, just now. What happened just now? I suddenly felt a terrifying sense of solemnity, as if I were in a sea of corpses and blood. Dai Mubai's words focused everyone's attention on Qin Ming. Yeah, just now. I felt like I couldn't even breathe in that kind of environment. Ning Rongrong also had a lingering fear in his face. Tang San was shocked in his eyes. Just now, he felt the same as Dai Mubai. The sea of dead bodies seemed to be in hell. What surprised him the most was that Qin Ming could withstand Zhao Wuji's punch unscathed. Xiao Wu's eyes were also flowing at this moment, but her thoughts were different from those of the others. As the rescued party, she was more grateful to Qin Ming. He didn't even have a soul skill, but he came out to help me without hesitation. Tang San and his companions are only children after all, and it is normal for them not to know the realm of killing gods. But Zhao Wuji is different. At least he has been wandering on the main road for so many years, hasn't he eaten pork, and hasn't he seen a pig run? Even though I dare not be 100% certain in my heart, I have guessed roughly. Taking a step forward, he condensed his voice and said, "Qin Ming, are you from the capital of slaughter?" Faced with Zhao Wuji's inquiry, Qin Ming knew that the other party had guessed his background, so he didn't hide anything and nodded, "That's right." Hush. Zhao Wuji took a deep breath and couldn't imagine how a 10-year-old child could survive in a place like the capital of slaughter. Wait. Surviving in the capital of slaughter doesn't seem important, what's more important is another point. There is only one way to leave the capital of slaughter, one must complete 100 victories and walk out of the dangerous path of hell. So the killing intent just now was in his realm of killing gods. How could this be? A 10-year-old child. Although Zhao Wuji's expression barely remained calm, his mind was in turmoil. Although he didn't believe that a 10-year-old child could walk out of hell, Qin Ming stood in front of him alive at this moment. Inquire with a questioning tone to confirm your thoughts. So you walked out of hell, was that the realm of killing gods you released just now? That's right. Qin Ming nodded again. Crazy. Zhao Wuji feels that his brain capacity is insufficient. He cannot understand or imagine how a 10-year-old child can walk out of hell. The previously established worldview shattered and collapsed with the emergence of Qin Ming. What is the capital of slaughter? What is Hell's Road? The conversation between Zhao Wuji and Qin Ming made several people around very curious. Just now, when Li Yusong was getting started, he was shocked to see Qin Ming, and now Zhao Wuji's shock has made Dai Mubai very curious about what Qin Ming really came from. Teacher Zhao, what do you mean by the capital of slaughter? And what is the path to hell? He asked in a voice. Zhao Wuji, who was brainstorming, couldn't stop his excellent language for a moment and vaguely said, the capital of slaughter. It's a purgatory built under the underworld. As for the path of hell, it is a long and dangerous path in this underworld purgatory, which all the top-notch warriors will follow. From ancient times to the present, there are only a few people who can pass the test of the path of hell, because if it weren't for the ultimate strength, it would be impossible to pass. As far as I know, there are only a few people who can pass through the path of hell, and the number is even fewer than the title Douluo. Are there fewer people who can pass through Hell's Road than those who are titled Douluo? What? With Zhao Wuji's answer, everyone was shocked.